If you want the short answer, nobody did, not one person, and not in the 20th century. The refrigerator was not invented. It was assembled, over roughly 200 years, by at least 7 people who mostly never met and mostly died before it paid them anything. A Scottish professor made ice in a glass in 1748. An American in London built the first working machine in 1834. A Florida doctor got the first American patent in 1851, and it destroyed him. And the thing in your kitchen right now only became safe because the early ones were killing families in their sleep. This is the whole chain, in order, who actually did what, and why the man most people credit had almost nothing to do with it. Start in 1748 at the University of Glasgow with a professor named William Cullen. Cullen took a small quantity of ether, put it under a partial vacuum, and let it evaporate. Evaporation pulls heat out of whatever surrounds it. So as the ether boiled away, it stripped heat from the air and the vessel, and a thin layer of ice formed. It is the first documented demonstration of artificial refrigeration in history, and Cullen did nothing with it. He had proved cold could be manufactured on demand, published it, and moved on. There was no use for it that anyone could see. It sat as a curiosity for over 50 years. Then in 1805, an American inventor named Oliver Evans drew up a machine that would take Cullen's effect and make it continuous. A closed loop, where a volatile fluid evaporates to steal heat, gets compressed back into a liquid, and does it again forever. That closed loop is precisely how your refrigerator works today. Evans never built it. The man who built it was Jacob Perkins, an American engineer living in London, and one of those inventors who is genuinely responsible for something enormous and is remembered for almost none of it. In 1834, Perkins built and patented the first working vapor compression refrigeration system. British patent number 6662, for an apparatus for producing ice and cooling fluids. It used ether in a sealed circuit, driven by a compressor. It made ice. It worked. If you want to name one person as the inventor of the refrigerator, Perkins has the strongest claim of anyone. He is the first to have made the actual thing function. He is generally credited as the father of refrigeration. It sold almost nothing. There was no market. Ice already arrived by cart, cut from frozen lakes in winter and stored in sawdust. Cheap, familiar, and already an entire industry. Perkins had built a machine to solve a problem that people did not believe they had. The first person to see a real use for manufactured cold was not an engineer. He was a doctor. John Gorrie worked in Apalachicola, Florida, in the 1840s, treating patients through yellow fever and malaria outbreaks in brutal heat. Gorrie was convinced that cooling the air in a sick room helped his patients survive. He started by hanging basins of ice from the ceiling. Then he ran out of ice, so he built a machine to make his own, an air cycle engine that compressed air, let it expand, and produced cold. In 1851, he was granted United States patent number 8080, the first American patent for mechanical refrigeration. It ruined him. His financial backer died. He struggled to raise money, and by most accounts, he was ridiculed publicly, with hostility from the established naturalized trade, whose entire business he threatened. His machine never sold. Gorrie died in 1855, broke and largely dismissed. Florida later sent a statue of him to the United States Capitol. It is a fairly common shape in this story. The people who made cold possible generally did not get to enjoy it. What broke the deadlock was not the kitchen, it was beer. In 1876, the German engineer Carl von Linde patented a practical refrigeration process using ammonia, far more efficient than what came before. Breweries adopted it immediately because it let them brew year-round instead of only in the cold months. Meat packing and shipping followed. For the first time, manufactured cold made money at scale. But that machinery was enormous, industrial, and dangerous. Getting it into a house took another 40 years. In 1913, a Chicago engineer named Fred Wolf built the DOMELRE, short for domestic electric refrigerator. It was not a fridge as you'd recognize it. It was an electric cooling unit that you bolted onto the top of the wooden icebox you already owned. It is widely cited as the first home electric refrigerator. In 1914, An inventor named Florence Parpart was granted a patent for an improved electric refrigerator, a name almost always missing from the usual telling. Around the same time, Alfred Mellows built a self-contained unit with the machinery hidden below the cabinet. In 1918, his company was bought by General Motors, who renamed it Frigidaire. Kelvinator arrived alongside it with automatic temperature control. They were extraordinarily expensive. An early home refrigerator could cost about as much as a car. For most of the 1920s, this was a machine for wealthy households only. There was also a much more serious problem. The early home refrigerators were killing people. The refrigerants they used, methyl chloride, sulfur dioxide, ammonia, are toxic. In a factory, a leak is a hazard you plan for. In a kitchen, in a sealed house, at night, it is lethal. Through the 1920s, there were fatalities from domestic refrigerant leaks, and they were reported. People became genuinely frightened of the machine in the kitchen. In 1926, two physicists read one of those reports, a family in Berlin killed by a leak while they slept. The physicists were Leo Szilard and Albert Einstein. Their reasoning was direct. The leaks came from seals around moving parts, so build a refrigerator with no moving parts at all. They designed an absorption refrigerator driven by heat rather than a mechanical compressor, nothing to wear, nothing to work loose. They were granted a United States patent in 1930. It was never mass-produced. And to be precise, because this one is frequently overstated, Einstein did not invent the refrigerator. He co-designed a safer one, roughly a century after Cullen and nearly 100 years after Perkins built the first working machine. What actually solved it was chemistry. In 1928, Thomas Midgley Jr. developed Freon, a refrigerant that was neither poisonous nor flammable. That is the single change that made the refrigerator safe enough to put in every house. And within about 20 years, it was in most American kitchens, with a long tail nobody saw coming. Freon and its relatives turned out to be destroying the ozone layer and were phased out worldwide under the Montreal Protocol in 1987. The same chemist had also, earlier, developed leaded petrol. One man's two great solutions became two of the largest environmental problems of the century. There is one more name, and it belongs to the man who arguably changed daily life the most of any of them. Frederick McKinley Jones was an American inventor, self-taught, orphaned young, who held more than 60 patents. In 1940, he solved the problem nobody else had: refrigeration that could survive being driven down a road. Existing units shook themselves apart under road vibration. Jones designed a compact, shock-tolerant refrigeration unit that mounted to a truck, and with a partner, founded the company that became Thermo King. That is the invention that means fresh food, medicine, and later vaccines can cross a continent. It built the entire cold chain that modern life sits on. Jones was the first black American awarded the National Medal of Technology in 1991, 30 years after his death. So, who invented the refrigerator? Cullen proved it was possible. Evans drew it. Perkins built it. Gorrie patented it in America and was ruined by it. Linde made it industrial. Wolfe, Parpart, and Mellows made it domestic. Midgley made it safe and left a bill. Jones made it move. Not one inventor. 8 across 2 centuries. And the machine is so completely ordinary now that almost nobody wonders where it came from. If there's another everyday machine you've never thought to question, tell us in the comments, and we'll trace that one back too.